Hello guys, welcome back to episode 6 of my big player review for the season 2018-19. Obviously an historic season where Manchester City won all the domestic trophies on offer, right from the Community Shield to the Premier League, the FA Cup and to the Carabao Cup. So I'm reviewing all the players like a madman and idiot. I've already done Danilo today, as you can see in the previous video. And now it's the turn of Nicola Otamendi. Yep, the general. Who's had a very indifferent season, Otamendi. Now, let's look at the context of where he's come from in general. Last season, Otamendi was absolutely fantastic. He started 33 games out of 38. He was one of the most successful passers in the Premier League. And General Guardiola loved him. He said he was his Superman. He went as that far and really couldn't wait to tell everyone how good Otamendi was. I thought Otamendi last season was brilliant. He cut out a lot of rashness of his game. He was reliable. He was consistent and a warrior at the back. He had the odd mistake in him. All our centre-backs do every now and then. Every player does every now and then. But last season was Otamendi's best in a blue shirt by a long way. He was inspirational and influential in the 100-point Centurion season. But this year has been a very, very different story. Only up in January this year, he was saying to Guardiola that he's not happy. Guardiola admitted that in the press that he wasn't happy to. In January, as he was saying, that he'd only started 8 games or something like that. And it's not really kind of got any better for him, really. A man who started pretty much every game last season has only had 14 league starts this season. When he did play, according to WhoScored.com, he had an average rating of 6.98, so, very average, okay. He was, however, relatively heavily involved in Champions League, starting 5 games. And he also had 4 and 5 consecutively starts in the League Cup and the FA Cup. So basically, he was the Cup guy. He had Champions League starts, League Cup starts, FA Cup starts, and then 14 league starts, so 28 starts in total. Last season alone in the Premier League, he had 33 starts. So his general game time absolutely dropped. For a little bit of an example of who he played against, he had no minutes in either derby game versus United, so no at home or away there. He didn't play a single minute against Spurs or Chelsea. He was an unused sub in the first Liverpool game and only got 2 minutes in the second Liverpool game off the bench and only played once versus Arsenal. Essentially, he only started 1 game, if I'd done the research right there, against the big clubs. He was very much the guy that no one went to in the big league games this season. And that's the kind of things that professional footballers notice. And the likes of Otamendi, who was so influential last year, he will notice that he's been essentially downgraded to 3rd, maybe even 4th choice at the moment in terms of centre-back priority. Now, it's not to say he wasn't good at times. We all know that he played in the League Cup final against Chelsea. He was absolutely fantastic that day. Chelsea, obviously, were good that day. It ended up 0-0, and the general, Otamendi, was very much a big part of that. He was stoic, he was tough, he was defiant, he was typically Otamendi at his very best. But that, obviously, isn't enough for Otamendi. The best players want to play in the big games, and he'll know that he's basically been involved in League Cup games against the likes of Burton and Rotherham. I mean, I presume it's so, I've not checked, but he was largely playing against the smaller teams, and our cup draws this season were pretty easy, largely, if we're being honest. So he's played a lot of games against smaller teams and none against the big teams. The likes of Otamendi want to play against Liverpool, they want to play against United or Spurs or Chelsea. They want to play against these teams because that's what defines their careers, their big moments. And so far, well, last season even, I guess it's this season still, what is it? Is it this season? I don't know. Either way, this season, he didn't have those performances. He didn't get those games and those big moments. And now he's 31 as well, so he isn't getting any younger. It looks like Stones is ahead of him, Laporte's ahead of him. Kompany, even Vincent Kompany with his croaking, aching body was chosen ahead of him in the big games towards the end of the season. And he essentially came 4th choice, which isn't good for him. Now, Otamendi, I like him a lot. I think when he does play, he was pretty good. He made his first start only in mid-September in the Premier League. But even then, I remember being okay. He wasn't great, but he didn't get the running games that maybe he needed. But for whatever reason, it looked like Guardiola decided that Stones and Laporte were going to be the number 1 choices early in the season, and he stuck by them. And Otamendi, unfortunately, never really got then a running games to get his fitness and match fitness up to the level of where it needed to be, which is a shame, but that is just life sometimes. It feels like he's yesterday's man. And at this stage of his career now, despite how good he is, he'll want to go somewhere and play regularly. He's still young enough to command a place in many of the top clubs in the world. Can you honestly not imagine him doing well at someone like Barcelona? I can. He knows how to pass. He's a very good passer. He's more than good enough in the air to be in the Liga. In fact, he's probably would want to be the best in the air in the Liga, given how he's had years in the Premier League now. He can play anywhere in Serie A, in my opinion. He's just a fantastic defender. And I've got a feeling he could leave in the summer. I don't want him to leave in the summer because I think that replacing him and Vincent Kompany is a mammoth task. But he could go, and I wouldn't blame him if he does push that through. I mean, it leaves us in a bit of pickle there, but that is life as a top club. Sometimes big players, they want to go. And that's also, I guess, a result of being successful. Some players miss out, and that's just how it is. But overall, his season was a very mixed bag. And once again, as I made a big point in the first video in this series, their scores are all relative to their individual circumstances. So a score for Otamendi has to be based off last season's as well, in general. So last season he was fantastic, like, I don't know, 8.5 or a 9 or something like that. This year he's barely played. He's had less than half the game time of last season. And he's basically been a secondary figure, only using the cup competitions apart from a few starts in the league. So I'm going to give him a score of 6.5, because I think he did play well when he played. He just didn't play anywhere near enough. It was just like an average season for him. But by his high standards of last season, it's obviously a massive drop-off. Can't really blame him fully, but sometimes these things happen. It's been a disappointing year for him, even though he has played well and he's been heavily involved in some competitions, and he should definitely feel like he's earned some of those trophies, and I'm sure he does. He hasn't been totally outcast, but it's not been the season of a man who's been very happy. And he said that to himself in Guardiola. I think he's going to leave, which would be a shame. What do you make of that score? Is it fair? How much would you be gutted to see Otamendi if he does go? Should we try and fight tooth and nail to keep him? Should he play more this season? Can we really argue that, given the fact that, we won so many trophies? It's hard to argue, isn't it? Guys, let me know all those things in the comments below. Don't forget to check out the previous 5 videos of Walker, Danilo, Muric, Edison, Bravo, all those people. There's more to come tomorrow, of course, so make sure you hit that subscribe button if you want to see more player reviews on this channel. I'm doing a stupid task. I'm now, what's the maths there? I'm a quarter of the way through now. Is that right? Yeah, I'm a quarter of the way through, which is not too bad. And I'm only a day into this. 24 hours later, I'm still going. Keep on going, Steve. Keep on going. Right, guys, thank you as ever to these guys scrolling down the side of the screen. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, like, comment. See you in a bit.